There's hieroglyphs that depict a history of Egypt that goes back for longer, maybe even 30,000 plus years ago. But archaeologists dismiss it because they think that that's mythical. The notion that different types of civilizations can coexist on the same planet shouldn't be surprising to us, because we do it. And that's what I'm suggesting was the case back then. The rediscovery of history often brings forth truths that can rewrite our understanding of the past. But every now and then, there comes a moment in our theology so astonishing that it leaves even the most seasoned historians and scientists in awe. After 800 years, an ancient queen of Egypt has been found. And what researchers have uncovered defies every preconceived notion we've held about ancient Egyptian royalty. This is not your typical tale of pharaohs, tombs, and pyramids. It's something far more extraordinary. It all began with a chance discovery in a part of Egypt that had for centuries been overlooked. A remote desert site near what is now considered one of Egypt's smaller oases was being excavated for environmental studies. What was initially thought to be a barren and unimportant area turned out to be hiding one of the most significant archaeological finds of our time. Beneath the shifting sands, a team of researchers stumbled upon an intricately carved slab of stone, a door, almost like a gateway, but to what? They didn't know at first. Early analysis revealed it bore hieroglyphs that were unfamiliar to even the most knowledgeable Egyptologists. This was the first clue that this discovery was going to challenge existing knowledge. This slab was carefully excavated, revealing what appeared to be an underground chamber sealed for more than 800 years. The inscriptions on the door told of a queen whose name had been erased from most of history. The ancient Egyptians were meticulous record keepers, so the deliberate erasure of this queen's name suggested something scandalous or deeply controversial. And yet, when her story began to surface, it became clear why her existence had been hidden, and why she was a queen unlike any other. Entering the chamber was a process that required not only advanced technology, but immense care. Over time, the team discovered that this burial site was unlike anything they had ever seen. Unlike the Grand Pyramid or sprawling tomb complexes of Giza or the Valley of the Kings, this site was modest, humble even. But don't let its simplicity fool you. What lay within was a story that would shake the foundations of Egyptian history. The first major discovery within the chamber was a collection of intricately detailed scrolls, astonishingly well preserved due to the dry, arid conditions of the desert. These scrolls held writings in a dialect of ancient Egyptian that blended with influences not native to the Nile region. They described a queen who had ruled with wisdom and strength, but was ultimately betrayed and erased from the annals of history. This was unlike any narrative of Egyptian queens we had ever encountered. Her name, deciphered through these texts, was Queen Nefertiti. But even that name, when translated, did not fully represent who or what she was. The writings described her as a mother of kings, but also something akin to a prophet, someone whose rule and existence transcended the mere political duties of a monarch. What shocked researchers most, however, was the claim that Nefertiti had been revered not only by Egyptians, but by distant cultures far beyond what was previously thought possible. As the chamber was further explored, the researchers found an artifact that would raise even more questions. In the center of the burial site lay a sarcophagus made of a material that no one could identify. It wasn't stone, gold, or even alabaster, materials commonly used in Egyptian burial practices. It was a sleek metallic substance, yet it bore the same artistic carving seen in traditional Egyptian sarcophagi. Surrounding it were artifacts that seemed to suggest trade connections with civilizations as far away as Mesopotamia, the Indus Valley, and even parts of what are now Europe. But what truly baffled the scientists was what they found inside the sarcophagus. After careful and respectful examination, the remains of Queen Nefertiti were unlike any they had seen. Her body had been meticulously preserved, but there were distinct anatomical differences. Her skull was elongated not in the manner of cultural head shaping, but naturally so. Her bone structure suggested a human form, but with proportions that were not entirely in line with Homo sapiens. The immediate question that came to mind was Queen Nefertiti fully human? And if not, What was she? Adding to the mystery, found in the sarcophagus were symbols that were not Egyptian, but bore striking similarities to designs found in Central American civilizations. This led to speculation that Queen Nefertiti might have had contact with other advanced cultures of her time. Did she facilitate these exchanges, or was she herself a traveler, and if so, how? The scrolls in the tomb described her as someone who arrived from the stars. While this could be metaphorical, ancient Egyptians often referred to the divine as celestial. It also hinted at something more. Her rule was described as being unlike any other, marked by advancements in architecture, agriculture, and even medicine. Researchers believe that the hieroglyphs referring to the stars may signify that Nefertiti introduced knowledge that was far ahead of her time. What came next was an even more extraordinary revelation. Among the artifacts in the tomb was an item that resembled a star map, unlike any ancient map known to archaeologists. It showed celestial formations that matched constellations from thousands of years ago, perfectly aligned with advanced astronomical tools. The level of precision was baffling. It suggested that whoever had created this map possessed knowledge that would have required technology far beyond that of ancient Egypt. The connections didn't stop there. Nefertiti's burial site also contained materials that, when analyzed, turned out to be alloys unknown to modern science. These materials had properties that defied explanation, such as superconductivity at room temperature, a feature that even today's scientists have only recently begun to achieve. How could an ancient queen from 800 years ago possess such materials, and who created them? As the discoveries continued, the team began to reconstruct a picture of Queen Nefertiti that was far more complex than any historical figure of her time. The scrolls described her as both a ruler and a scientist, someone who worked alongside ancient Egypt's greatest minds to achieve feats that seemed impossible. But they also revealed her downfall. Her reign ended abruptly in what the scrolls describe as a great betrayal. Fearing her knowledge and influence, her advisors and allies turned against her. Her tomb was hidden in the desert, her name erased from monuments, and her contributions deliberately forgotten. It was as if history itself had conspired to keep her story buried, and yet, the echoes of her influence persisted. Advanced architectural techniques that appeared out of nowhere, unexplained leaps in agricultural methods, and even strange myths about celestial visitors all seemed to trace back to her. It was as if Nefertiti's legacy had left an indelible mark, even as her name faded from memory. As word of the discovery spread, it sparked intense debate among historians, scientists, and even the public. Some dismissed the findings as exaggerations or misinterpretations. Others saw them as evidence of something far more profound, proof that ancient civilizations were far more advanced than we ever imagined, or perhaps even connected to influences beyond Earth. Michio Kaku, the renowned physicist, weighed in on the discovery, suggesting that the materials and technologies found in Nefertiti's tomb could hold the key to understanding not just our past, but our future. He proposed that the alloys and star maps might contain clues about advanced physics or interstellar travel knowledge that could transform humanity's understanding of the universe. Meanwhile, Egyptologists grappled with the implications for their field. The discovery of Queen Nefertiti challenged long-held assumptions about ancient Egyptian history, trade, and technology. It also raised questions about the accuracy of historical records and the possibility of other hidden figures whose contributions have been lost to time. As researchers continue to study the artifacts and remains from Nefertiti's tomb, the story of this enigmatic queen continues to unfold. Her legacy is a testament to the power of discovery and the enduring mystery of our shared history. In revealing her story, we are reminded that the past is never truly gone. It waits, hidden beneath the sands, ready to challenge everything we think we know. As the analysis of Queen Nefertiti's tomb deepened, scientists and historians began to piece together a timeline of her reign. From the recovered scrolls, it became evident that her rule occurred during a tumultuous period in Egyptian history, a time that, until now, had been considered relatively uneventful by historical standards. This newfound timeline revealed an era of unprecedented technological advancements, agricultural booms, and cultural exchanges that historians had previously struggled to explain. What stood out most was the presence of innovations that seemed entirely out of place for the period. For example, one scroll described a system of irrigation that harnessed underground aquifers in ways that modern hydrologists are still trying to understand. Another depicted architectural blueprints for structures that seemed to defy gravity, incorporating geometric precision that would only be rivaled millennia later. One particular scroll captured the world's attention. It detailed a strange ceremony described as the convergence of the heavens. Scholars debated its meaning. Was it a symbolic reference to astronomical events, or did it describe something literal? The text spoke of a vessel of light that descended upon the land, bringing gifts of wisdom to Queen Nefertiti. The vessel, described in detail, bore no resemblance to the boats or chariots of ancient Egypt. Instead, it sounded eerily similar to modern accounts of unidentified flying objects. This revelation opened the floodgates of speculation. Was Queen Nefertiti's knowledge derived from extraterrestrial contact? Was her rule influenced by beings from beyond Earth? Or was this merely mythologizing by her followers? These questions ignited debates across scientific and theological communities. Some dismissed the idea outright, attributing the descriptions to poetic exaggeration. Others suggested that ancient civilizations may have had encounters with advanced civilizations from elsewhere in the cosmos. As intriguing as these questions were, they weren't the most pressing issue for scientists. The alloys found in the tomb, which had baffled metallurgists, became the focal point of intense study. Initial tests revealed that the material exhibited properties unlike any earthly element. It was lightweight yet unbreakable, resistant to corrosion, and exhibited superconductivity at room temperature, a feature that modern scientists have only achieved under extreme conditions.